Karibuni sana. Tag a friend, tell them that we are on. And my co-host, you can share the link on the chat so that somebody can be able to come on board. Karibuni sana. Today we are discussing the Finance Bill 2025. And I know that some of us have been able to go through it again. And today we are going to just discuss it and especially see the areas where that it's affecting us. So I want to see you on the chat. Just tell me quickly within a minute where you're watching the webinar from. Sometimes it feels happy to just see us. Sonny Sugar, wow. Thank you, Dickens. You're always here. Karibu sana. You can share where you're watching the webinar from and welcome somebody to just come in. Ziwa la Ng'ombe. Kisii, Parklands, Machakos. Karibuni sana. If this is your first time to ever be able to come to our webinar, we always have webinars every month. So you can follow us on our social media handles, LWK Africa. You can also follow me, Dr. Regina Kingori, and CPA-K, and you can be able to continue the conversation. You can know when we have a webinar, when we have a conversation, and just come and learn. Most of them are free of charge. So we say that we learn as much as we can. And I'm very sure that some of us have really been able to learn. So kindly go to presentation mode. Okay, I'll do that right away. And because of time and we're just having an hour, I think I'm on presentation mode. I am on presentation mode. Someone can confirm. Someone can confirm for me if you can see my presentation and I'm on presentation mode. Okay. Oh, yes. Thank you. So because we are having a very short time to discuss, and at the tail end at around 11, I'm going to welcome a colleague. We are going to give him 5 to 10 minutes. He's going to discuss a software that we have innovated. I'm going to talk about it at the end. It's called My Accurate Book Software. So I would request for that. So for now, I don't know, what have you heard about the finance bill? On the chat, let me hear just one comment. What have you heard? Or what? I know we've been able to listen to the media, TV, or seen the discussion online, or the other people that have been able to interpret it. What have you heard and how does it affect your business? You know, about a month ago, there was the parliament was discussing and saying that on X, I don't know how the X is doing, that the highest rating is reject finance bill 2025. It was being rejected even before it was tabled, and it had just been received in parliament. So it's going to be tabled. So whatever we are having is what was received in parliament, what was released by the cabinet secretaries and the president to go to the hearing, the stages, the first hearing, public participation, second hearing. By that year, the June, it should be enacted as an act. And most of these tax changes will start happening in the first week of July. Okay, let me just read your comment before I do my presentation and I hear. I heard that KRA will no longer need court orders to access our bank and M-Pesa. I'll talk about that. I heard it's not burdensome. That's not going to streets again. Peter Karanja wanted us to go to the street again. Let me see. I heard that loans from China has not affected it in any way on the lower side. Okay, okay, okay. 5% agricultural tax on coffee, tea, and avocado sales. That Wilson. Keen to hear on how the GO will increase revenue without introducing without introducing new taxes. I'll show you how the proposal is supposed to increase taxes. Tax on worker per diem, 2,000 to 10. Gratuity payment now tax-free. Impact on e-teams on avocado, coffee, and tea farmers. Through no carrying forward losses past 5 years. An increase on tax on some packaging that will drive some prices to go up. Digital tax reduced to 1.5. No more tax exemptions. Withholding tax introduced for individuals supplying goods to public entities. I think that one we said last time. Though that was an amendment, it is still ongoing. So there was a withholding tax was introduced. 5% agricultural tax on coffee, tea, avocado, on how calculate. Okay, 18% VAT rate. Michael has even the VAT is coming to 18%. Okay, fridge benefit to change from 9% to 30%. Yes, it is true. So let me proceed with my presentation. And I see that you have had such a wonderful engagement with the proposal so far. So that is very, very important. Okay. So let me move to my presentation. You can continue with the discussion as we move on. We shall know what is right among them and what you did not hear well. Of course, my presentation is on taxes that touch us. The whole finance bill is very, very high. So I've touched on the main areas, main element that affect us. Just a minute. So the Finance Act, the Kenya Finance Bill 2025 was released on Wednesday, 30th April, and it proposes a few changes. They say that the biggest area for this was to do a cleanup of the taxes, and they also stated that it is supposed to push compliance to the next level. There are no new taxes being introduced. You know, the other period of time, we got a lot of new things, like the way we got affordable housing levy. And then the other year, possibly there is something moving from 8% to 16%. The biggest portion was the VAT zero rating, which I'm going to mention as we proceed. So it is a compliance. It is supposed to push compliance. And I'll talk about the implication and possibly what we should look out for in the next financial year, which is starting June to next year, and the regulations that are going to happen. So I've categorized them in these spaces, and I'll proceed. So the income tax, There are a few changes, proposed changes. And remember, these are proposals. They will still go through the reading, the public participation. If an organization or an association, mostly this lobbying is happening through the association level, where businesses have come together, they are discussing it, and they say this is going to really affect our businesses. These associations can go through the lobbying process, public participation, and possibly by the time this finance bill becomes an act, some of these proposals might be dropped. So it's not the final space. This is a discussion phase. So the major proposal changes and their impact. So the first one, which I saw someone mention, tax losses limited to 5 years. So the bill proposes that the tax losses can only be carried forward up to 5 years. And the implication for this, especially for businesses that are capital intense business with long recovery periods, that potentially increasing their tax burden if losses are not utilized. So if an organization is not able to utilize their losses within the 5 years, it becomes a burden to them. So it is a proposal, and mostly this is something that affects businesses at the stage of commencement, where you do a lot of capital investment and setting up, and you're supposed to use that money and you declare that loss and you use it over some time. Advanced price agreements, APA. This is transfer pricing. This is affecting transfer pricing. This change allows KRA to negotiate transfer pricing terms with taxpayers. So if an organization, especially a Kenyan organization, has sister companies or other corporations outside Kenya, their relationship should be in an agreement. Transfer pricing policy should be written. So for instance, if you're operating in Kenya as a subsidiary company of a sister company in UK or Netherlands, and possibly, for instance, mostly this happens to exporters like flowers, where they have their main company in Netherlands that buys their flowers. So in Kenya, they farm. In Netherlands, they sell those flowers. So in the area terms, when the transfer pricing policy was not there, you find that the Kenyan company is making losses because it is transferring its profits in the mother country. So if the flower, one piece of a flower is supposed to, the market rate is 5 shillings, it will be buying at 3 shillings or 2 shillings. So this company in Kenya is always on loss. So this transfer pricing policy is supposed to safeguard this Kenyan company to be able to make profits like a local company, so that KRA can be able, or taxes can be utilized in Kenya. So the agreement, previously the transfer pricing policy was generated by this organization in Kenya. In case for a tax audit, you provide that transfer pricing policy. But now KRA can negotiate that transfer pricing terms with that taxpayer. Provide certainty for multinational, but may lead to dispute if KRA nullifies agreements. So sometimes you may have a policy that you've been using for 5 years. The moment KRA comes in for an audit process, they tell you, no, you've not been doing it the right way. So it's a welcome move to just make sure that everything aligns as early as possible. But also, if they also disagreements with the agreement, might take a bit of time. Someone mentioned per diem threshold increased, and I know some of you benefit from the per diems. So if the tax-free daily allowance for employees raised from 2,000 to 10,000. So previously, if you're receiving 5,000, the 3,000 could be termed as a benefit to you, and that's being charged pay as you earn. So it boosts employee welfare by reducing taxable income to the, but also reduces taxable income to the government. So that is applicable by 1st July. If I don't mention the effective date, you can look at there. So the effective date is there. The other one is repeal of investment deduction. So the investment deduction, and there are so many, there's industrial building deduction. This one specifically, the investment deduction. And a company is supposed to enjoy 100%, even 150% benefit. They remove, the change is to remove the deduction from large investments outside Nairobi or Mombasa. So if you do that investment outside Nairobi and Mombasa, you don't enjoy that investment deduction. This may discourage regional investment, slowing economic diversification. So I don't know. Possibly they would want those investments to be done within that region. The other portion is the expand definition of royalty. So this includes software distribution with regular payments. So part of the explanation of the royalty in the software includes the software distribution with the regular payments. So this is supposed to broaden the tax base to cover digital transaction, increasing compliance for software distributors. Then there's a reduction of digital asset tax. I saw somebody mention that. Digital rate, it is being dropped from 3% to 1.5%. I don't know how many of us have ever seen somebody comply with digital asset tax. Is always a tax that it was meant to make the multinational or other companies that are operating digitally in Kenya to be able to pay this digital asset tax. I don't know how KRA is able to collect this or able to track this organization. So it encourages digital asset transaction, but may reduce revenue. And I've always seen people ask, what is digital service? If I sell online, for instance, I have products and I promote them online and I sell. You're operating a normal business. You're just using online as a channel. So if you're selling something that should be VATable, you should be on eTIMS and you do VAT. Then that sales, you should bring it together at the end of the year and do corporation tax. And you can ask a question at the chat also. The other proposal is taxation of fringe benefit. This one I've seen somebody mention. The bill clarifies that the corporation tax rate of the entity applies to fringe benefit tax, simplifies tax compliance, and reduces potential for errors or dispute with tax authority. If you check, they always do a circular for fringe benefit where within 3 months, they say the rate is now 9%, now it's 10, now it's 8. They always give a circular mostly every 3 months about the fringe benefit rate. They now want to move that rate to a standard rate that is corporate tax rate, which is 30%. Of course, it is very high. So for them, they are saying it is simplifying tax compliance. And what is fringe benefit? It is when the employer gives you a loan at a better rate. So for instance, you borrowed 100,000, they give you at 5%, and the market rate outside here is 19% or 18%. Now, meaning that difference is a fringe benefit. That is the difference between the rate given by the employer and the market rate. That is a fringe benefit. But now moving it to 30%, I don't know if they would want us to borrow the bank and not be given by our employers. Significant economic presence tax. So this also was introduced last year. The scope widening to increase service provided by internet electronic network. Kenya shilling 5 million turnover threshold for non-residents removed. This was supposed to significant economic presence. So for multinational or for global companies that are in Kenya, and they have significant economic presence, they were supposed to do this taxation. So the impact online streaming, marketplace, crowd services must now pay that tax, significant economic presence tax, even with minimum revenue from Kenya. Tax liability no longer depends on turnover size or participation in Kenya digital economy can trigger a tax obligation. I always feel when it comes to digital services, this online marketplace, the KRA has never been able to capture, especially the multinational or global companies that are operating in Kenya. They still try to make sure that these taxes are introduced so that them can be able to capture that market. Small support for small businesses. The small businesses will be able to fully deduct the cost of tools and equipment in the year of purchase. So I don't know how many of us capitalize those tools and others are able to expense them. So you can expense and improve cash flows and reduce administrative delays in claiming tax relief. Pay as you earn relief automated. Have you ever gone to file your tax return as an employee? And I don't know how many of us have done tax returns. Did you get your P9? And you have filed your, you're supposed to do that annual return to, and you can use your P9. And if you don't get your P9, when you open your iTax portal, you can be able to see those payments done by your employer. So sometimes you don't even have to get that P9. You are going to get all that information online. So when you go to file at the end of the year, at the end of that place where it says now your tax is zero, sometimes you find that tax is credit. You're in a credit position, and sometimes it will tell you, how do you want to be refunded? By the way, I ask this as a question. Have you ever been refunded? And some of us type our M-Pesa number very fast. Have you ever been refunded of that pay as you earn that you overpaid? I want to hear that on the chat. So this means that it is automated. Employers will be required to apply or pay relief automatically, eliminates the need for individual employee to claim, simplify compliance. So in the previous, by the way, is only one person who had told me they have ever received those pay refunds. But now they want to automate it. I don't know how they're going to automate it, because this pay, we do it fully. You don't know if you're overpaying or you're not overpaying. At the end of the year, next year now we are filing for year 2024, which is past. By the time you're filing, you find it was a credit, yet you did not know. So I don't know if it is supposed to trigger by the time we're getting October, November, when the employer is filing pay, it triggers that this one is a credit, so that it reduces your pay at that particular. I don't know how the system will be set for it to be able to do this. So that is a welcome move, of course. The other one for income tax, taxation of pension funds and benefits. This is also something that we have really been talked about. This means pension benefits are now tax exempt upon retirement as per the funds rule, and not just at the 65 age. So there's a rule that is provided down there. They are tax exempt. Previously would get a withholding, some others, those gratuities, some others will even get a pay as you earn. So, so also making them tax exempt, meaning that that person who is retiring will get more money. It is also a welcome move. Increase disposable income and encourage to save for the long term. So it is increasing disposable income for the retirees. VAT, let's move to VAT. That was Income Tax Act, some of the areas. For VAT, these are some of the areas that have been proposed to be changed. And this is what you had so many times about the change from exempt to zero, from zero rated to exempt. First of all, the difference between, we have the three standards for VAT, the three zero rated, exempt, and standard rated, which is at 16%. So the difference between when you get a zero, the input VAT, the VAT on your purchases, you're supposed to apply for refunds and you're refunded that money. This is export business and any other business. We had the president talk about bakeries. And I actually wanted to even know, I don't know how many of us here are having bakeries. I would want to hear that story that you're getting refunded more than even the bread that you're baking. So also bread is zero rated in Kenya. And some of these things, I also think that there's so many other ways that you can be able to curb that. So that is zero rated, you're refunded the input VAT. At the point of exempt, that input VAT, that VAT on your purchases, you consume it as cost. So you make whatever you're selling to be more costly because you have consumed this input tax. Your product at the end of the day is exempt. You don't add 16%. But the cost of your purchases, which you had VAT, you put them in the cost of the product. When it comes to standard rated, that one we understand. Input VAT, you charge VAT, minus input output, you pay the balance to the government. So when something is moving from zero rated to exempt, first of all, the zero rating is supposed to promote those businesses. At the exempt, it is put there to lower costs. When something is put at the exempt and not as the standard rated, it is supposed to lower the cost that is being provided to the end consumer. So if it is moved from exempt to standard rated, the cost shoots so high. But at the zero rated, the businesses are zero rated. They are there so that they can be promoted to be able to do much more of those businesses. So several items currently zero rated, such as raw materials for animal feed, solar, theorem, ion, batteries, electric buses, and local assemblies of mobile phones will be reclassified as VAT exempt. So that is when now the raw materials, and also there was raw materials on manufacture of medicine, local medicine. So it means that now some of these items now will be more costly. So the animal feeds will be more costly, and all that, the batteries, electrical buses, and you can see them. They were classified there so that to make sure that their cost is very low so that more people are able to consume. So some of these things will be more expensive. This means businesses may no longer claim input VAT on these goods, potentially increasing the cost of manufacturers and consumers. And this is effective 1st July. VAT refund timelines. The period of VAT refund will be replaced to within 12 months from when the refund became due, aligning the VAT Act with the Tax Procedures Act. This aims to streamline and expedite the refunds for businesses. So the business that are at the refund level, they now be able to do the application. The application period will be reduced to within 12 months. Of course, refunds is another big issue, because when the government, even if there's a reduction and if the government does not have money to refund, some of things take so long to actually be refunded, but it's also a welcome move to them. Withdraw of VAT exemptions. So change solar, wind, geothermal input will now be standard rated. So I've said that there is a move from 0 to exempt. Now this one is from exempt to standard rated 16%. Of course, now if you now sell, if that solar and wind and your geothermal input, if it was at exempt, it was not charging 16%. So if it was, the cost was 5,000, is now the cost will be now 5,000 plus 16%. So making the costs very, very high. This may impose challenge to green energy investors on the increased cost. Most of them were put there to promote them, to promote the use of solar, wind, those geothermal, but now because of the increased cost might even affect consumption. Refund period extension, the commissioner will have an extended period to ascertain tax refunds from 90 to 120. This is where the president mentioned the bakeries that are getting a lot of refunds. So the increase of number of days is to investigate them more and possibly look at those refunds much more before they do the provision of the refunds. Reduction of time frame for classification supplies as bad debts. The bill proposes to reduce the waiting period from the current 3 years to 2 years. So the bill proposes the classifications apply as bad debt. The taxpayers will apply for VAT refund on bad debts after 2 years from the date of supply. So if you have bad debts, and these bad debts, there was VAT element on them, you can apply for refunds. And I don't know how many of us have ever applied for refund of VAT of bad debts. And I always encourage, if you have very good records, these are some of the things that you may enjoy. Some of us don't enjoy this because some of this it's supposed to be audited for sure. So the moment you hear audit, you don't want KRA coming to check on your books. But if you're clean on how you keep records, these are some of the things that you can benefit on, and you can apply for that VAT refund. For instance, if you are supplying the government, this I've seen mostly with the government. If you're doing if you are contractor to the government or to Parastat or the counties, and you give them an items invoice of 50 million, and they told you, give us an invoice so that we can pay you. You went and produced that invoice, and you did it 3, 4, 5 years ago. That VAT, you can request, you can term that invoice as bad debts, and you can request for VAT because you did 50 million plus that VAT. And possibly when that VAT came to your portal, you even paid for that money. So you can request for a refund because you are not paid by that customer. So of course, I mentioned any application of refund is an application for audit, but if you have your records straight, it is very easy to get those refunds. VAT, also liability to pay VAT on abuse of exempt and zero-rated supplied. This is called VAT clawback. The bill proposes to introduce a provision to impose VAT where goods and services initially acquired as exempt or zero-rated are later used or disposed of inconsistently with their intended purpose. And I've seen this happen where you get those exemptions, but now there are people who can buy something with those certifications and say, we are exempted, so they're exempted for VAT. and they are not charged. But when they come to dispose, they sell with VAT, so they are earning out of it. This measure is aimed to curb misuse of exemptions and zero rate, in particular in sectors such as education, healthcare, donor-funded projects where VAT relief is often granted conditionally. And even the exemption that you get as an organization, you're exempted for a period of 3 years, 5 years. The reason why you're not given a lifetime exemption is because KRA want to see the nature of business that you do. So after 3 years, if that business is, for instance, is a trust or is a hospital or healthcare or something else, with that PIN, you find that that person is now operating other businesses with that PIN just because they're exempted. So that is the reason why that certification has to be redone so that they can look at the nature of the business that past 3 years and grant you another exemption certificate. So if you're doing that abuse of the exemptions, now know there is a VAT clawback. Excise duty, that was what I had for VAT. Let's talk about Excise Duty Act. So this is mostly the changes were on definition. Just clarifying a bit on definition, which I'm going to mention. The bill proposes to expand the scope of digital lender to include any person extending credit through an electronic media, excluding bank, SACCOs, and microfinance institutions. So who is a digital lender? So it was explaining and expanding more. Definition of digital marketplace. What is digital marketplace? And I mentioned that digital marketplace, all those has been a very huge concern, and the KRA or the tax authority has never been able to streamline the whole process. And some of these are meant to do that. The bill proposes to introduce the meaning of digital marketplace as an online or electronic platform which enables users to sell or provide services, goods to other users. So still on the definition. The time frame for issuance of license by the commissioner, the bill proposes to introduce a 14-day time frame after receipt to the required document of the commissioner to grant for refuse an application of license. This aims to stimulate licensing process and enhance efficiency. So these are excise duty licenses. So you're provided a license, especially if you're selling accessible goods. This is water, liquor, all that. You're supposed to apply for a license. And sometimes these licenses, they take a lot of time. There's a lot of back and forth. So that is a welcome move to just make sure that the provision is done efficiently. Excise duty on spirits, of course, this is always there. There's always something when it comes to the liquor and the beer and the spirit wines. The bill proposes to impose at 50 shillings per liter on spirit under natural alcohol on alcoholic strength exceeding 90%, purchased by licensed manufacturers. So this is an addition, especially if someone is selling the spirit. So if you are a consumer of such, then you're going to see a bit of a change in the pricing. But those are consumer product that even if there's price changes, the consumption is still continuous. So we are at the Tax Procedures Act, a bit of Tax Procedures Act. So we have e-TIMS and iTax relief, and this is a very welcome move. Interest and penalties arising from malfunction in the e-TIMS and iTax will be waived. And I know some of us have those errors. This will protect taxpayers from system related errors. And I know when the auto-population was happening, and there were so many errors in the system, and credits and so many other things that we were unable to solve. And when you go to KRA, they will tell you, provide us invoice, and you go back to your company and wait. Because they also need procedures on how to correct those errors. So come January 2026, I don't know why it's taking that long. They can be able to look at those areas, and they can be able to waive those system-related errors. By the way, when the ITAC system has an error, it takes a lot of time to be resolved. So I always say, if you can be able to work out your returns so well so that you avoid some of these errors, they are not resolved as quickly as you. It can take years, and even reconciliation, those credit reconciliations, payments that were not affected, they take years. And by the way, this time when we are having amnesty, we are having the tax amnesty, and it is ending and personal credit data from taxpayer. This is what we were mentioning about data and such. So I don't know how this. There are people who cited data privacy, data protection, and I hope that this is some of the areas where we can get public participation. So, but also on the other hand, when it comes to some like trade secrets, right now KRA can write to your suppliers or to your customers requesting for information about your organization. So, those personal data, and there are times that we say that they could access our till numbers, our pay bill numbers, our bank. Today, if they want to access, they can do that. They can write to CPA-K, Central Bank, and they can request for all your bank statement. That one they can do. So we're going to see how this move will continue. Objection and appeal timelines. The calculation of time for objection and appeal will revert from working days to calendar days. So for an objection, if it is 60 days, it is 60 calendar days and not 60 working days. So this is potentially shortening the response period for taxpayers. Improved oversight in accounting period year-end change. So this also was welcome. The bill proposes to introduce an obligation to the commissioner to respond on application for change in accounting period for a company within 6 months, failure to which the same stands granted by law. I don't know if you've ever tried to change your year end. And I don't know why some of these changes have to go through appeal. They have to go through a bill for them to become. Just when you apply for a change of year end, possibly your June to August, and you want to be January to December, it takes forever. They actually don't even approve. So this is also good. And replying of notification requirements. The bill proposes to remove the requirement by businesses to notify commission within that 30 days of change of key information, such as, so when you change your business, there was a burden that you're supposed to notify the commissioner, business location. And I don't know how many of us do this, by the way, shareholders, beneficial owner, trustee. all that. So you are supposed to notify that you had these changes. And so that one has been removed. Penalty to I hope. You can hear me? Can you hear me now? I don't know what happened to the internet. Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm actually coming to the end of it. Let me proceed. You can keep your question there. Penalty for understatement of installment tax removed. So the bill seeks to appeal Section 72C, which imposes a 20% penalty on the difference between the installment tax should have been paid and the amount actually paid, multiplied by 110. This is very welcome. I don't know now if you did not pay your balance of tax by June, if you pay right now, even if you last year was a loss, if today we are now in May, if you finalize your audit and you say I'm supposed to pay 50,000 or 30,000, it always comes with a penalty because you did not pay installment tax last year. So this is also a welcome move to stop unfairly penalizing taxpayers for no good reason. So Tax Procedures Act requirement to provide reasons for amendment tax assessment. So the bill proposes to introduce an additional requirement in Section 31 of the Tax Procedures Act for commissioner to include the reasons for making an amended assessment when notifying a taxpayer, which is very, very good. Of course, there should be reasons why that amendment is happening. It is going to increase transparency. Relief from withholding tax liability where a recipient has paid it. The bill proposes to introduce a provision that a person, withholding agent, who does not deduct withholding or remit on a payment shall not be required to pay the principal tax where the recipient of the payment has paid and accounted for full principal tax. So I don't know how, I hope this one happens. So sometimes you find if you are withholding agent, I don't know how, if you are withholding agent, sijui. Angalia. Mm. Apologies, I don't know why our internet is misbehaving this morning. Ilikuwa imeconnect, sijui kwa nini inaenda kwa ingine.
Sometimes ikuwa a bit slow ina switching to ile ingine iko available.
Okay. So apology for that. So also the Tax Procedures Act, issuance of agency notice. So this is something that I would want you to also take note. The proposed amendments allows the commissioner to use agency notices in respect of non-resident persons, expanding the reach of tax recovery tools. So if the person is non-resident, previously it was just covering residents. An agency notice is sent mostly to your bank account. This is where you find when you're going to withdraw money, they are told that we have an agency notice from KRA. Now they can do that to non-residents, of course, if they're having bank accounts in Kenya or customers or suppliers. So it is sent even to your customers. So your customer can be instructed, instead of paying you, they pay KRA. Premature enforcement through agency notice, dispute pending appeal. The business proposes to grant the commissioner the power to issue agency notice even when the taxpayer has appealed against the assessment specified in a decision of the TAT or the High Court. This for me was very punitive, that even if you're having an application to the ADR, to the tribunal, or to the High Court, that KRA can go ahead and issue an agency notice. So previously, if you had an application in these places, they couldn't issue an agency notice until that case is completed. So I don't know if they are thinking we apply those spaces so that they don't issue agency notice. I don't know, but I felt it is very it is affecting fairness and affecting the due process from being followed. So I just hope it will be dropped. Then the clarification of commencement of objection decision timelines for late objection. So if you ever did a late objection, and mostly we do late objection when the assessment is done and you did not see that assessment. So possibly the email was shared, you did not see, or the letter was shared, you did not see, but you woke up one morning when you're going to iTax and you find assessments there. The 30 days are over for application. You can apply for late objection. The bill proposes that where an application for late objection is allowed, it has to be allowed first. The statutory period, which is 60 days, 60 days is to look at the objection and give an opinion where they approve or don't approve, within which the commissioner must issue an objection decision, will begin to run from the date of objection is lodged, not from the original deadline or the date of the tax decision. So that is also provide clarity and fairness in handling delayed objection. So it is giving a bit of feedback. So these are miscellaneous levies. I'll give you, it's about the railway development levy and the promotion levy. And I think that is where we end at that particular point. Let me look at, because of time, let me look at your questions or something that you had shared and see if I can be able to cover a few questions before we proceed. Please share the notes. I'll share the notes. There's a registration link that you're supposed to fill in. So there's a registration link that you're supposed to fill in. My co-host, kindly you can share. If you fill in your details, you're going to get it immediately. We've been getting per diem, but not tax, yes. At 2,000, now you can receive at 10,000 and not get taxed. When a person has a business income with the TOT obligation and has an employment income, when filing income tax return, should he add the two incomes and only declare employment income? So first of all, Kenya, the turnover tax is final tax. It is final tax, so it doesn't need at the end of the year you do the return. The same way with the monthly rental income, they are final tax. So you can go ahead, if you're using your personal PIN for both, you can do, and you're employed, you can do pay as you earn return, that will be final. So you can ask a question. I see most of the questions have been answered. Is someone who said they have never been refunded. I think that was the question that I had asked about pay credit. We are going to see how they are going to work out the system so that now we can be able to get those credits. Are staff loans provided at a zero-rated interest rate subjected to fringe benefit? Yes. Now that one, Lillian, will be fully subjected to 30% fringe benefit tax. And most of these things, especially, you might proceed with them the way you are doing them right now, but you find that some queries will be raised during audit. So during audit is where KRA raises a lot of such questions. And you find you paid your employee, you did not charge fringe benefit tax, it will be charged upon the company. So pay as you earn has a lot of regulation, a lot. So if you're having so many employees, 100, 200, other casuals, I would want you to invite us and we look at your payroll, we look at those benefits and everything and advise you correctly. So I see my co-host has been able to answer. Okay, all right. Is there a definition of small business for deduction of cost of tools? No. So if you have those tools, you can claim them, you can expense them and get that money. For the tax losses claimed cap for up to 5 years, does it mean for business incorporated in 2020 still in loss? If you made a loss, not that you're making a profit and you're saying is a loss. Possibly you made that loss in year 2020. So you've been carrying forward that loss. So that you carry forward that loss and it reduces the tax that you're supposed to be paying for the recurrent years. It's not that you did not have that loss. You must have that genuine loss. Otherwise, I always say a company to be on losses for that long is always a tax trigger. So if it is not a genuine loss, don't put it there. It's going to trigger tax audit. 5% withholding tax for consultants below for 24K. How does it file it? You don't withhold. You don't withhold, and you expense it. So audit fee will become part of your expenses. Possibly you paid the audit fee 20,000. Do you not withhold 5%? You just have it in your expenses. Where a business has a turnover above 5 million, but paying TOT, is it acceptable? Yes, it is acceptable. Yes, it is acceptable. You can continue, you can opt to continue with turnover tax. But I always find that turnover tax is expensive than VAT. I don't know what is your reason, Kenya, on being on turnover tax. Requirement to issue tax invoice for all supplies. How will this affect SACCOs that only issue loans for members? Requirement to issue tax invoices for all suppliers. So how will it affect SACCOs that only issue loans? You're not going to issue ITIMs on loans, but on all your supplies. Your supplies could be stationaries, how you run the organization. So how you run the organization, you must have ITIMs. And even when you're getting your expenses, they should be ITIMs compliant. So ITIMs is cutting across, whether in a school, in a hospital, in every other institution. Pay should have been nil balance. The difference should be in cents, if any. A friend got one of those caring letters from KRA, and they paid 70,000 on nil pay. Yes, because possibly they were not pay. Possibly they were registered for pay, but they were not filing. And you know, if you're not filing, it's 10,000 per month. What will happen to those manufacturing companies but build slowly and start business in 3 years or so? You just declare, if you've not been doing business, you just been in the setup establishment years, you can just declare those expenses, those losses. It's still okay. As long as you have all those documentation, if a query come, then that's okay. That's okay. Any update on ITIMs, on expenses for especially on income tax? Any update on ITIMs on, okay. For businesses like salon, spa, do they file pay? Is commission based? How do they do? Chief and if they have. By the way, Georgina, I've seen so many salons here in Nairobi going through audit processes. And KRA really, they don't want to understand the name commission. They want to term those commissions as pay, as money as staff that you have within the organization, and you should pay as you earn, and all the other levies. So I'd encourage you, for the people that you're paying that are beyond 24,000, you can apply for pay as you earn, and you can do it. Elizabeth, yes, I've said that. You have said we do not withhold Below, yes, 24. Above you, withhold the 5%. And of course, after withholding, you remit to KRA. Is there any update on the new landlord tax system? That one I'll update you. Come for the next tax trends. We do tax trends every month. So next month I'll do a bit of this. I'll do finance bill progress, the progressive report of the finance bill, and all the other changes when it comes to e-teams, the tax landlord tax system. I'll talk about it. Can a taxpayer have both VAT, TOT at the same time? No, Victor. No, you cannot have both. Both are affecting your sales, so you can't. You either choose VAT or TOT. So thank you so much. I would want you, the many of you, I would want you to listen to what my colleague has to say. Let me go to back to my presentation. We have an audit and a bookkeeping masterclass that is starting on Monday. It is 2 weeks, and we are charging very, very well, 15,000 for both or 10,000 for each. And my co-host, you can put a link there if you'd want to come in and learn. It's an online class from 7 to 9, taught by the best of the best. And we are the best when it comes to audit, tax, and bookkeeping training. So my co-host, you can do a link where they can register. On 16th, we'll be talking about understanding tax refunds. So if you do want to understand better, you can come in. It will be a free webinar. I'll also talk about understanding e-teams. This will be on 23rd May. This has been requested for so long. Some of us still want to understand e-teams better. I'll talk about it and talk about what you need to understand on e-teams. So we also have a breakfast where we are doing taxation for export business. I'll share this with you. This will be on 29th May. If you want to come for that breakfast, it will be a physical meeting. This one will be a physical meeting. So we have my Accurate Books, which is an accounting software. It is very, very good. It is extremely user-friendly. And it is something that I would want you to try and use it. And it is going to help you organize your work properly, because we've always stated that bookkeeping is extremely important in your business. So it is called my Accurate Books software. And this month we're also doing the payment integration. We want to link it to the till number and M-Pesa, and it can be a fully fledged. We are also doing e-teams integration. So also e-team integration will be there. I would want you to listen to my colleague who will be talking to us about it for 10 minutes only. So we do tax, audit, bookkeeping, advisory, and that is our number. You can call in if you want to talk to us, especially now that we are doing audits. Let us do your audit. We are extremely affordable, and we can do a very good work, especially because we understand tax. I've always recommended, if the person who is doing your audit should also be able to understand tax, and that's what we do. So karibu sana, John. As John starts the display, I'll go back to the questions to see if there are more questions that I can answer as he's able to do his display.
Thank you very much, Daktari. I'm happy to see that many people are getting to learn on the changes and the activities around Finance Bill 2025. So, as it has been said, my name is John, and I'm happy to be here so that we can have a bit of conversation on my Accurate Books, because this is your solution when it comes to simplifying your accounting work. And if you can hear me, I would request that you send me a smiley emoji. If you can hear me, I would like that you send a smiley emoji so that I know that you guys are hearing what I'm saying. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm glad that you can hear me. So I'll share a brief presentation. And even as I share that brief presentation, on the chat box, kindly share what is your biggest worry when it comes to accounting for your business, for your employer, or for even a business as an entrepreneur. What is your biggest worry when it comes to matters of accounting? I'll be responding to that in a moment. You could be sharing what are some of the challenges or what are some of the worries that you have as an accountant, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, because that is what this application or this software seeks to address. I'm sharing my screen. In a moment. Don't you worry, I'm working on it. Now, is my screen visible? Wonderful. So in the next 5 minutes, I'm just going to give you a brief of why my accurate books and maybe some of the challenges that you have encountered. And we believe that this would be your solution on those challenges that you've encountered as an accountant, as a business person, as an entrepreneur, solopreneur, entrepreneur, all that. So in the 21st century, among other things and challenges that SMEs face, one of them is poor record keeping, in that you're not in a position to tell your actual or factual records when it comes to financial standing of your business, whether it's in stock or it's in expenditure or it's in purchases of your business. There is also the limited access to accounting services, and that is where we come in with my accurate books, because we believe it should not be a hassle to start a business and then you proceed with that hassle when it comes to keeping records for your business. That is why my accurate books is in place. When it comes to matters of compliance, if your records are not in good shape, I can tell you that when you come to consolidating your financial information so that you can file returns or you can do an audit on your business, it will be a great struggle. And therefore, in a market where other service providers have their products with quite a high rate or a bit, I would say, expensive, you would need a solution that is competitive, that solves your problem, and that is also caring about the state of your business, in that it is not as expensive. Now, with my accurate book, we seek to do the following. One, we seek to simplify your accounting through this system, and having been developed by RWK Africa, and basically getting information from accountants, that tells you that we have the best solution in the market. And the good thing is that this software is web-based, web and mobile-based, in that even when you are running a business remotely, you can access business information from wherever you are. And now that the big story behind coming up with My Accurate Books is because we have a corporate community involvement or corporate social responsibility program that we call Skill Up. And out of that program, we identified that the entrepreneurs or the budding entrepreneurs who are rolling out businesses, they have a big problem when it comes to consolidating their financial reporting or financial records. And therefore, we asked ourselves, what can we do to simplify their work even better? So that is how My Accurate Books came in. And we have simplified it in a way that one, you don't need to have a prior background in accounting for you to run this system. Secondly, with just an understanding of the fact that you can operate an Android phone and you can operate a PC, you can be in a position to run this system. And among many other features, there is the point of sale. The system has customer and inventory management feature. As it had been mentioned by Daktari, we are now in the process of integrating payments, whether it's through M-Pesa or from the integrating with the bank, we are now in that process, which is coming to a close. We are closing in on it, and also the aspect of e-teams. There is user management, in that you can distribute roles to your team of staff. If you're the owner of the business and you have a cashier, you can mandate them the role of a cashier, and they will not get to see all the information about the business. They will only get to see what you want them to see. When it comes to tax compliance tools, we are working on the fact that you can pull out reports on different, whether it's on purchases, expenses, or sales. You are in a position to consolidate all that report. And if you need to do an audit, or if, for example, you need to do an audit, you're able to do that from the system. Now, you might be asking yourself, how do we help you thrive? Because as a user, you want something that would simplify your work, something that would basically give you more time to do other things. My Accurate Books with automation saves you time. My Accurate Books keeps you compliant because you get real-time financial reports. My Accurate Books ensures that every day you have information on how your business is performing. However big or small, you need that. The other thing is that every aspect of your business is managed from one point. With just your phone, you can get to see what your different users or different businesses in different locations are doing, because you are able to give them roles in that system. And last but not least, the fact that it is accessible by mobile phone, it allows you to run other things and still follow up on how your business is performing. Why make a decision and decide to use My Accurate today? One, it has been built by accountant, or we have built it and we are decorated accountants to ensure that entrepreneurs thrive or businesses thrive. Secondly, it has been tailored to address all the needs that your business or your venture would require. Thirdly, it is an affordable software in that the cost is, I would say, competitive. Because if you get, we have two major tiers, that is a standard tier and gold tier. Under standard tier, you only pay 500 shillings in a month, or 5,500 shillings in a year, or 1,400 shillings in 3 months. And the fact that it has been developed by a local team, that tells you that we have you in mind. And lastly, the aspect that the plan is to integrate it with your mobile transaction and even bank transaction. That would simplify your work and even that of your customers. So who can use our system? Anyone in the small and market enterprise or a startup or traders or service providers, whether you're in consulting, financial, or any other consulting service, or you're a bookkeeper, you can be in a position to use this system. And lastly, the fact that have we as RWK done this? Because we want you to be in a position to easily access financial tool. We are on a mission on promoting literacy and formalization of businesses. And most importantly, our big goal is to empower you as an entrepreneur, as a business person, and also as a startuppreneur. And lastly, supporting you with the transformation that we are experiencing insofar as digital transformation is concerned. Now, you might be wondering, where am I getting all this information? Before the end of this presentation, make sure that you've given out your information. I'm going to share a write-up on all this presentation. And in the next 5 minutes, I would like to take you through the system itself from the web. I'm happy to take you through the system at the moment. Now, so as soon as you go to your search engine and type My Accurate Books, it will lead you to, this would be your landing page. If you don't have an account, you will create it from this point. So you're able to create an account, and it can be an individual account or an organization account. In the event that it's an organization account and you need to put maybe the business name and the logo, you're able to do that from here. If you can see my cursor, down at the page is where you're supposed to upload your business logo. You can do that from here. In my case, I do have an account, so we will just log in. In the event that you have an account and maybe you feel there is information you need to update, you come to this icon and you say business profile. So over here, you can edit your business profile. For example, let's say now this changes to Patana Brands, Patana Events and Brands. And I save that. So that has been updated. So for the purposes of this trading, all the receipt will come with the name Patana Events and Brands, not John Gashoka. So we go to items. Whether you are in service industry or you are in you are in retail or you are a merchant, you are able to update your products in this system. For example, when you go to add new, I want to add a new service. Maybe I say deco now that the business is under in the service industry, and you say this is a service. So for any with service, you don't quantify. You say deco setup, whether it's a baby shower, it's a birthday, it's a lounge, you can do that. So because there is no purchase price, you will indicate it somewhere. You say deco for the minimum you charge for deco, you could say 30,000. That is maybe an event for 2 or 3, for 10 or 20 people. And you say maybe it could be 0 rated, or it could be, let's say it has VAT. Then we add it in the services that we offer. We could add another product. Let's say now we add a product. In this case, we could say we will be, as an event, we do water. In this case, we could say Dasani. Category is a product. Quantity, we sell in, let's say we sell in bales or in bags. In this case, every bag has 24 pieces. So one bag, when we are doing 24 bags, one bag and purchase price for one bag, we say it's 350 shillings, but we are going to sell it at 450. And we say it is 0 rated. We can add it. When you come to sell, when you make a sale for the 2 products, you make a sale. You add, you could say water. In this case, because it's an event of 30 people, we say we're going to do 3 bags. And we add another one, deco. Deco, and we will charge 30,000. So my customer, I could give, you could, in the event that you don't have a name, you could say a walk-in customer. But in this case, we can assign a name because we have customers. For example, we say Kelvin David, and their phone number is 011 21 000 21. Email address is ad@gmail.com. This will help you in even following up with your clients. It is important that you have them in your database. So you are selling to Kelvin. So you can opt, if they are paying now, you can generate a receipt and say maybe if they are paying by M-Pesa or cash. In this case, we say they are paying in cash. And we complete that sale. So if you have a POS machine, you can be in a position to print out this receipt. We go back and now generate an invoice. to the same customer. So we will sell them water. Let's say we are selling them 20 bags, and we also sell them deco services. Now the crowd has grown bigger, so it means we improve on, we increase on the whatever we are going to offer, and that goes to 60,000. Our customer is Kelvin, so we can pay via, it will be paid later, and we say maybe they'll pay via M-Pesa. So if he says he'll pay in 2 weeks' time or in a week's time, so I expect a payment on 16th of this month. And maybe they deposited 10,000 as a deposit for that event, or 20,000. You can create that invoice. So my client has made a deposit of 10,000 and they owe my business 59,000. From here, we will go to receive payments, especially for the invoice. If now this is the time that I'm collecting, they owe me 59,000. So I'll go here and say, pay now. Payment is via M-Pesa. And they are paying in full now that that is the money that they owe the business. And we complete that transaction. So you realize that on your pending payments, that is no longer there because it has been cleared. With purchases, this is when you're stocking for your business. Of course, when you're getting something from your supplier or you're getting a service, you update it under purchase. So we had pre-ordered from Joan suppliers. Let's create one PO. Maybe we are stocking on water. And the supplier is Joan or Frederick. Let's get, today we get it from Frederick, and payment will be on delivery. So you already have that as open. So this is your list of suppliers. You can update this list. For example, we could say we have a new supplier under the name Subwest Distributors. The email is smw@yahoo.com. The number is 0702001987. And we have enlisted Subwest Distributors as one of our suppliers. So when it comes to paying of suppliers, so we can say pay the supplier would be, let's say, in cash, and we pay in full. That has been paid for, and it has been cleared on our pending payments that should be made. When you go to this one, you could say M-Pesa, paid in full. This is optional. You could choose to indicate whether the M-Pesa transaction, or you could choose not to indicate. So that has been paid for. You're able to do that to all your suppliers if the payments are pending. With expenses, these are of course, bills that the business incur, or what you'd call utilities, whether it's Wi-Fi, if you buy your staff lunch or you cook them tea, this is where you indicate that you've been buying them tea, so that as you generate your report, you can tell how you've been spending money on your staff or on your, insofar as your business is concerned. With customers, for the ones that you have recurring business, it is important that you have them in your database, so that even when you have offers, when you need to send them a message of encouragement, maybe they are going through a tough time, or maybe it's their birthday, you wish to tell them happy birthday, you can do that by the information that you have in your system. So it is important that you keep your customers' information in your system. This is how you do it. You go to add customer, and you say today you will be adding Poplio the 16th. Unfortunately, I don't know his number, but you're just going to indicate a dummy number, 00016. And the email, we could say it's vatican@gmail.com. So you've added Poplio as one of your customers. And in the event that it's a corporate or a business, you indicate their name. You could say, for example, Mkulima Best Dairy, Mkulima Best Limited. And if they have a PIN, you could key in their PIN if you have it. These are dummy. Contact person is maybe Landry. And their phone number is 0732-999-791. That's a dummy number. And Landry @gmail.com. Shipping address, we could say Omabe Town. And you add that customer. So Mkulima Best, Pop, and Kelvin are in your database. When it comes to extraction of reports, whether it's on your inventory, P&L, your debtors report, creditors report, and your sales report, you can do that. For example, when you go to inventory, for those in service industry, you realize that you cannot deplete the services that you offer. But if you're in you're selling products, you need to keep following up on your stock. That way, you can tell when you need to update your stock, and you can also tell when your business is booming. And how you do that, when you come to dashboard, it shows how your business is performing on a daily basis in a week. You can tell how your business is performing. And this will advise you on how now in future, when it comes to stocking, based on these trends, you're able to tell when do I need to stock for my business. Now, when it comes to running your profit and loss, and as you can see, this one is making a lot of losses. In fact, it needs to close down. With the information that you get here, you're able to tell what is eating up on my income, or what is eating up on the revenue that I'm making out of this business. And out of that, you can make informed decision on what you need to cut on, whether you need to improve on your costing of services and all that, so that ultimately you bring about turnaround in your business. With debtors report, like now, here there is someone, or there is one client that has a pending payment. They have not paid for this. And when it comes to creditors, the business owes someone over 36,000. You're able to tell how many people the business owes. And ultimately, when it comes to sales for today, this tells me that the last transaction I made was 69,000. Basically, these are transactions that we've made to Kelvin David. So for the whole day, down here, you can get your report and you can even download it as PDF or Excel. Most importantly, in the event that you have a staff and you've given them a responsibility at your shop or at your business, this is where you distribute roles. You can add new, and that is the information that you get. But now let us edit one of these. For example, we edit John Gashoka. So John is the accountant. Maybe we change the role and we make them a cashier. So with a cashier, you can give them different roles in this system. In that a cashier may not require to extract reports. They may not make purchases for the business. They may need access to the dashboard. They may not need to know how the inventory is looking like, because the accountant will have that, and the expenses. So you could give them just the responsibility of making sales and having a look at the dashboard, and you update that. So that is what John Gashoka is able to access. In the event that you are changing their roles, or maybe they are moving out of the business, or you're parting ways, you can deactivate the account and they won't be in a position to see whatever the business is doing. Up to that point, I welcome questions. I'd love to hear from you on any question, clarification. And as you do that, I know my co-host will be sharing a form, so that again, because I believe this is something that you need, this is a system that you need, you could share your details so that we do follow up after this webinar. In the meantime, I'm happy to respond to questions. And I have an offer before we close, so don't move an inch. So there is a question from Okore. You say the expense tab does not appear on my end. All right. Okore, if it doesn't appear, I believe if it's a system issue, I believe that can be sorted in soonest time possible. Because with the expense, you should be in a position to add expenses. And therefore, if that is not appearing on your end, it is something that I will give priority. Kindly indicate your details on the shared link. I'm happy to follow up. So James says, I have a challenge in selection of monthly reports, not in accrual, like every month operations. All right. So let me go back to the presentation so that we can see that. So with expenses, you would want to extract, if it is monthly report, you would want to extract that. A moment. James Jambes says, I have a challenge in selection of monthly reports, not in accrual. That is every month's operation, income and expenses. What is the existing need to be looked at? So Jambes, with income, at the when you download or when you go to your reports or to the reports, you can choose to, for example, if it's on P&L, you can choose to be downloading or to be downloading PDF and Excel, and you're able to indicate a period of when the report that you're extracting, you're able to indicate or to indicate the period that you wish to get. When it comes to income and expenses, yes, you're able to get that. You say, what is the existing need to be looked at? Well, I'm happy to engage further on this one. With the Evans Mutua, you say, can my accurate books accommodate many businesses simultaneously at the same time? Yes, it can. There is a feature that we are calling branches, where you can manage different branches from one point. So the only thing that is holding that aspect of the system is closing on the aspect of items, and also closing on the aspect of e-wallet, or the wallet, where basically the wallet. Dan Kanjue, can the system? Absolutely. That is what we are. The system can be integrated with items, and that is what we are pursuing. We are hoping to close on it soonest possible. So with management of different businesses, I'd like you to break it down, Michael, so that I get to understand your needs. However, the system can accommodate many businesses. So Joshua Kenyaru, is the system integratable with items? And currently it is integratable with POS, whether it's Bluetooth. Basically, it is integratable with POS. The bit that we are finalizing on is items, and that is something that we've given high priority. So with job card, for those in maintenance businesses and manufacturing businesses, what is the customer care number? So my co-admin will share the customer care number of my accurate books. So with balance sheet and cash flow, that is something that, again, we are working on. It is on final stages. We are finalizing on these reports. We've realized that for most of the users that we have, they would want to also get to have this in the system. So this is also in our priority on getting to make sure that as a user, you're able to see and pull out a balance sheet and cash flow. Kenyaru, you ask, how is it catering for businesses with several branches? Now, When you download the system, or when you download my accurate books, and you create an account, at the lowest bit is branches. You can be in a position to set up branches. However, not at the moment, because it is pegged on another aspect of the system that we are pursuing currently. Basically, the wallet aspect of the business. And let's see. I have a challenge in selection of monthly report in every month report individually. So Jambe, I'm happy to take it up with you so that I can help you on how to get this report from the system. I will engage as soon as this is over. However, kindly share your details, fill your details in the form so that I'm able to get in touch with you and indicate the need that you would wish addressed. So at this point, wonderful. At this point, I would like to hand it over to the host, Daktari, if you can hear me. If she's not in, unless there is another question. So I said I do have an offer for everyone who is going to download this application. And the offer is that for the rest, for a whole month, you can use that system without paying a dime. So I'm giving a whole month offer, and kindly fill in the form so that we can have your details, because we are going to give you that right today. And again, we will give you round-the-clock support so that you can join the happy family of people who are using my accurate books to manage their businesses. In the event that you hit a wall, you have our number, that is 0116 333 000. That is our customer support number, 0116 333 000. And we will be in a position to support you the best that we can. Thank you very much for your time. And I wish you well as we go to